is Coley, and it's time for Undercover reading. We're reading The Captain's Kid. We're up to Chapter 4, Section 1, Breaking Orbit. As the Reliable moved through the night sky toward lunar orbit, I slept soundly, and for the first time in a week, dreamlessly. A disturbance in my force jolted me awake at, I squinted at my arm, 0630. I groaned and stuffed the pillow over my head. The alarm was set for 0800. A hand touched me. "Hey, up and at 'em, Spidey. We've got a schedule to keep, you know." "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't." I sat up and scraped sleepy seeds out of the corners of my eyes. Then I got a good look at Dad, dressed in officer casual, but slung around his hips was an unfamiliar black leather pouch. "What's that, Dad?" He flipped open the pouch to reveal a gleaming black firearm. I recoiled as if it might leap up on its own and fire at me. On Luna, with vacuum all around, you don't screw around with projectiles. That was drilled into us from infancy. "Just what the heck are you doing with that?" I asked. "Just in case, kiddo." Dad secured the flap, tucking the gun out of sight. A precaution in case our ill-wishers make themselves known. "But Dad," I protested, "isn't that incredibly dangerous? Couldn't you puncture the hull?" Dad shook his head. "We don't use projectile weapons on ships. The ODN-240 throws an electrostatic bolt." That was a relief. "Oh, good. So it just stuns people, right?" Dad lifted his eyebrow. "I'm afraid not. This is the model for lethal force." I gulped. No way could I picture Dad calmly pulling out a weapon and killing someone. In fact, I couldn't even picture him not calmly killing someone. Where and when had he learned to shoot, anyhow? It occurred to me how much I didn't know about Dad's job. Maybe there was more to it than captaining a glorified interplanetary ferry. "Come on, kiddo, I'd like to get to breakfast before 7. His eyes held a strange smile. "I've got to meet and greet the special passengers we're bringing aboard this morning, and I'd appreciate your presence. So make yourself a little more presentable." I patted down my bed hair and sniffed my underarms. They passed inspection. "I'll just be a second." I grabbed a shirt and trousers and ducked into the bathroom, brushed teeth, splashed warm water on my face, still no mustache hairs to cream off, darn it, and dressed. On the way out, my elbow clipped the doorframe so hard it was still fizzing when I found my second shoe. "Ready," I announced, "in only 142 seconds. Let's go, I'm starved." "Perpetually," Dad commented with a creased brow. We made short work of breakfast, and Dad walked me round the hub to the teen lounge. "I'll message you when it's time," he said. I scanned the room for company. People I hadn't met yet were sprawled out on the lettuce-green carpet with gamepads between them, or draped over the reclining chairs in their own worlds, listening to their own music. "Hey, Karthik," I called when I spotted his dark head bent over a gamepad. The whole gang was there, Mo, Sherry, Con, and Audrey. "We missed you at breakfast," Con said. "Oh, wow, that was weird." Con looked completely different to me this morning. "What time did you all get up?" I asked. And why didn't anyone call me? Karthik answered, "Well, 600, usual reveille. Didn't your room chime?" He touched a holo bishop and pushed it diagonally to take a helpless pawn. The pawn vanished with a peep. I guess I slept through it. "Come here." Audrey motioned for me to sit by her. My heart fluttered. She touched my sleeve, and I thought, all is forgiven. But she twisted my arm around with a frown, crushing my hope that she was thinking of getting cuddly. "Brandon, did you know your shirt is all bloody?" A red-brown blotch stained the white fabric from elbow to wrist down the back of the sleeve. I still had enough blood left in me to turn my cheeks bright red. "Oh, an unfortunate run-in with a door frame." Mo caught my eye. "Got a Band-Aid?" he teased. Sherry giggled. Con yipped with delight. "Gotcha, Karthik's foolhardy bishop!" The bishop disappeared as Con directed a well-rendered 3D rook to take it. Tiny fingers on the castle wall raised their arms in victory. "Any ideas yet?" That question was directed at me. "What, me? I don't really play chess. Not well enough to give advice." Con laughed. That low, scratchy laugh even sounded different. "You know what I mean. Ideas about..." Con broke off and whispered, "The enemy." My head whipped toward Karthik, my glare accusing. I hissed between tight teeth, "You knew we weren't supposed to..." I know, Karthik apologized. "It was an accident." Con forced it out of me with her feminine wiles. I was going to... Constance, he said. I win. When did you figure that out, I asked. At the spinning dinner of death, he shrugged. You're slow, man. Audrey and Sherry giggled. Con looked at me through her long lashes, which I swear hadn't been there before. She blinked slowly, and I saw how a guy could accidentally betray his captain and shipmates and best friend for her. I glared at her instead. Don't breathe a word. Oh, Brandon, don't be silly. I wouldn't say anything to anyone. Well, except Sherry and Audrey. Her eyes flicked around the room. Oh, and Mo, of course, she added. Of course. I closed my eyes tight, feeling my stomach lurch. Mo, too. What a mess. Dad trusted us not to let the word out, and less than a day later, 4 more people were in on it. Karthik might make a good detective, but he'd be a lousy spy. Khan took Karthik's other bishop, who crossed himself piously as he fell. You guys were so brave and smart ruining the first plot. Karthik swelled 3 inches taller. Feminine wiles, all right. But brave and smart, we were just danged lucky. I pulled everyone closer with a gesture. Look, mates, I'm counting on you to keep this quiet. You just can't let it out or it will ruin everything. Khan smiled. So you are working on something. I knew it. Yeah, working on damage control. She persisted. Let us know how we can help, okay, will you? You'll be the first to know, I promised. And that satisfied her, all of them, for the moment. But her question got me thinking. There was a good chance the saboteur was on board. I felt it in my guts. Maybe we could flush him out. Now die like a king, Khan exclaimed, and I noted she'd successfully wiped out Karthik's royal family. She stood and stretched, victorious fists in the air. And that'll give you something to remember me by while I'm sightseeing on Luna. Brandon, you have to tell me all the best places to go. Karthik stood and took her hand between his. Good game. I will demand a rematch when I have recovered from this humiliating defeat. Hey, Khan, I'll walk out with you, Sherry offered. My parents are already waiting for me. They just buzzed. Is your family in the first shift too, Mo? He nodded. We're visiting my loony cousins. Not much sightseeing, but lots of good eating. First shift or second shift? I asked Audrey, crossing my fingers for luck. Second. I guess I need some advice too. We don't know anyone, so we don't have any plans. Perfect. You know, I'm sure my Aunt Manda would love to meet you, and we could show you around the interesting things that they leave out of the tourist guide so they aren't spoiled. Your whole family, I mean. Karthik wore an amused glint in the corner of his eye. Your family too, Karth, I added. No need, my friend, he replied. Remember, we have family there. Of course, Uncle Sade, New Delhi. Man, I love the gulab jamun. My watch comm chimed. Dad calling me to join him at the boarding level. Sorry, guys, duty calls. I'll get in touch when I'm done. I hurried off to change my bloody shirt and meet Dad at the airlock. Dad reached up to smooth my hair into place. They haven't docked yet, he said. About 5 more minutes. Thanks for joining me. He looked excessively pleased. Of course, Dad. My guts churned uneasily. Why? Oh, yes. The weight on my conscience had sunk into the pit of my stomach. Karthik's information leak. I'd contained it, but Dad should probably know just in case. Dad, I've got something to tell you. It might or might not be a problem. At least I hope not. I stopped, breathed. Out with it, Spidey, Dad prompted. I avoided his eyes. 4 of the other kids kind of found out about the sabotage attempt. 4 kind of found out. Dad's voice was quiet but scary. Kind of? Brandon. The only 2 people who could have told them are you and Karthik. My mind spun. I couldn't throw Karthik under the cart, especially since he was my best friend and he'd pretty much saved my life on the elevator. I would take the hit on this one. It was my fault. I told them, not Karthik. Do you think it's going to be a problem? Dad's tight-lipped face told me all I needed to know. Disapproval. Worse, disappointment. And even worse, distrust. Yeah, kiddo, it's going to be a problem. The saboteur is more likely to strike again soon if he's insecure, if he senses imminent discovery. We may have less time than I'd hoped to end this. As my inside shrank with shame, my head filled with questions I wanted to ask him. Why was someone trying to sabotage a supply mission? Was more than one person involved? Where was the saboteur now? Back on Earth? On the platform? On the starship? Or even waiting on Luna to come aboard? And finally, why didn't Dad seem more concerned? No, concerned wasn't the right word. Why didn't he seem more surprised? I started down my list. Dad, why would someone want to... Brandon. He cut me off. I can't discuss this with you anymore. End of story. The less you know, the better. Because, son, you can't be trusted, I filled in. Wonderful. Now I'd done it. Lost Dad's faith, and not even over something I'd done. My stomach turned over and over. I stood at attention, hands clasped behind my back. Eventually, a slight jostle told me the lunar shuttle had made contact. This ordeal was almost finished. Then I could creep off and figure out how to make things right. Maybe if I solved... The airlock cycled and opened. 3 people stood at attention and offered Dad a crisp salute. I did a double take. Make that 2 people and a seque uno. That's the end of that section. Please join me for the next one. Bye.